Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car. 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way?
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. In the dark night. I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jett Ramey and Rick Shew.
I don't even know if I want to hey now this morning. Rick, is it?
Hey now. No. Come on now. We're going to do a hey now.
Okay. Hey now.
Hey now. My coffee's just kicking in anyway. I got to do a hey now.
Okay, good. Thanks for listening to Volume 2, Episode 62 of the Batman on Film podcast. It's actually going to be a two-for weekend, so you're going to get Episode 63 tomorrow. BOF is the sponsor and a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows at BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. I am the host of this here podcast, and I also am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Jett Ramey. With me today is my co-host, Rick Shew. Rick, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Bill. Good morning.
You sure
how are you?
Well? I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's dive into why we're. Bill, is there any news that's broken west of first?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Yesterday evening or afternoon, evening, whatever, the Hollywood Reporter published a story reporting that director Matt Reeves had exited talks with Warner Brothers to direct Ben Affleck's solo Batman film, which we've been calling The Batman for a little while now. And here is a short snippet from that report. It says, a studio source confirms that negotiations have broken down. The possibility, however, exists that talks could resume when heads cool. The studio is intent on making the movie no matter what, as the Batman franchise has proven to be bigger than just one person. I had some issues with that, and not in the reporting, just what the report said. Why are heads hot and need to be cooled, for one thing? Mm-hmm. And I had, this kind of gave me pause. The studio is intent on making the movie no matter what.
Yep. Of course they are.
Yes, for a lot of reasons.
Huh?
This is troubling. It's troubling, and it's troubling because you've had, and let's go ahead and say Matt Reeves had never signed on, so it's not like he's quitting or walking away from a gig he had signed on for. So
that's semantics.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the dude that's the guy they wanted, and right. Apparently he wanted to do the film, and then so it's begging the question now is what's the deal? My gut feeling is, and let me go ahead and just throw out a disclaimer. This is nothing I've heard, but I've done this long enough to know how this stuff works. I get the feeling that he's wanting more creative control than Warner Brothers is wanting to give right now, because, I mean, they're going to pay him well. I don't think this is a money play at all. And I know that some people are speculating it's just representation, playing hardball with Warner Brothers, but I mean, they're going to pay him handsomely no matter what. So is it really worth going, negotiating in public for relatively not that much more money or whatever? We're not talking about, anyway, whatever. I don't think it has to do with money. I think it's a creative issue. So we can get more in that in a minute. What's your when you heard the news, what did you think, and what's your overall take of this whole situation, Rick? Well,
my first thought was, well, what about that magical script that everyone was in love with?
Mm-hmm.
Where did that go? Mm-hmm. Was Matt Reeves not feeling that love? Which we all know that was, well, we don't all know. We should all know that was all nonsense to begin with. So my first thoughts were, first of all, I wasn't surprised. That's just it. I'm not surprised by any of this. I mean, as this thing moves forward, I mean, I have no shock value left over this entire film, and quite frankly, this entire DCEU. And they just decided to collapse the thing tomorrow, not even release Wonder Woman and Justice League. I would probably just go, oh, well, okay. Because, look, right now, this thing's a mess. And we've been saying it forever. And if you still don't realize it's a mess, with all due respect, come on. Come on. I mean, what more has to happen, right? Affleck was always going to direct no matter what. He's not directing anymore. Okay, well, that's a good thing. He can focus on the acting. And now there's a script that everybody loves, and then we've got Reeves. Okay, now he's out. Okay, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's negotiating. Maybe they'll find a director with a similar vision. I mean, every step of the way that something happens, you have the faction of people that are there to rah cheerlead, make excuses for it. It's a little weird, you know.
It's maddening to me that. Now I will say this: there was less pushback. That segment of Fandom after this report, you know, my report, I didn't pull any punches, to be honest. I didn't pull any punches with fanboys, and I didn't pull any punches with Warner Brothers, to be honest. I'm basically not even interested in this project anymore. I really couldn't care less. A lot of the luster went off for me when Ben Affleck stepped down as director. This whole project was built around, we got Ben Affleck going to write and direct this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that was the selling point. That was going to be. Go ahead.
Let's focus on that for just a moment. I couldn't agree more. That was cool. This will be our post Nolan Batman, and I'm completely down with it. And even despite what a mixed bag BVS was, he was still the shining beacon on the hill.
Yeah.
He was the person who see. Even though this was a sluggish, morose film, you still had him, and he was great. And so, looking forward to letting him write and direct his own film, star in it, and make his own The Batman. Now, that's not happening, okay? And don't spin this, guys. Don't think, well, he's doing this so he can focus more on the character. That's just not true. He's not directing it for a reason, and it has nothing to do with whether or not he can give a better performance as an actor, okay? That's not his MO. Everything about him is writer, director, actor. This was
he's done it before.
He's done it before, and I know that it's not on this magnitude in terms of scale, but that's also why he went to school with Zack Snyder essentially to learn how to do these kind of films. But even set all that aside,
and one other thing, Rick, it has nothing to do with him having to wear the Batsuit.
No, it has nothing to do
because I was shocked, and people would be shocked how little the actor is actually in that suit.
Right.
And how much he's actually in it in the whole thing. Do you think he's wearing the whole suit when he's doing those Batwing and Batmobile interior shots?
Right.
Probably not. So and how much work is a stuntman? So that excuse I've heard float around, that's nonsense as well. Go ahead.
This film, Ben Affleck writing or directing and starring in this film was supposed to be a lot like in my head how Mel Gibson did Braveheart. And which that's an interesting name to bring up, something we can talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Definitely a moment. Yeah, we'll transition to Mel Gibson. I just inadvertently brought that up.
That's a good point.
But Braveheart to me is the analogy I have in my head, and it's one of my favorite films, by the way. And it's powerful and beautiful and moving. And I'm like, I want that to be Affleck's Batman that he writes or he directs and stars in, and it's that epic and beautiful, And maybe the whole time it's been a fairy tale in my head, but you know what? That was the plan. And he had all the capability and all the talent in the world to do it. Now he's not doing that. And so it's not good. And now there was, like I mentioned earlier, there was this script that everybody's supposed to have fallen in love with. Well, I didn't buy into that BS when they announced it. Mm-hmm. Now that's obviously not the case, right?
Well, the thing is, Rick, I'm going to go back to Nolan, and I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. Chris Nolan had an idea of what he wanted to do with a Batman movie. He had an idea, and he went and pitched that idea to Warner Brothers. He had a passion and a vision. He wanted to make a Batman movie that was epic, an epic origin film that was a lot like he wanted to do for Batman what Superman the movie did for Superman in 1978. He wanted that kind of huge origin movie for the Batman character as well, and he also wanted to ground Batman in as close to reality as possible. Put Batman in the real world, and that was his pitch. And and we got the Dark Knight trilogy after that. I don't think Ben Affleck ever had, and this is no knock on Ben Affleck, I don't think Ben Affleck had a Batman story in his head or in his heart that he wanted to tell. And I think that's probably part of the reason why him and Jeff Johns never could come up with a script, because they were just trying to cobble together a story for a movie, because by God, he was supposed to write and direct the next solo Batman film, because he had been hired to play Batman in the Superman Man of Steel sequel. So that to me is the root of a lot of this. That and then Warner Brothers pushing him. He even said, well, they have a date. I don't think I can make that date. And the whole nonsense of the end of last year when he was kept being asked about the Batman, and ultimately he says he's going to do it, and then a week later he's sends out that press release saying he's not going to do it. So what's your take on that? I'll just ask you that about the script, and did Affleck even have a story? Could that have been the issue?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it's pure speculation, but my guess is no. I think he had a general vision, like basically, look, I want to make a Batman film that is on the scale of what Nolan did in terms of the notoriety of it.
Yes, but he didn't have this story he wanted.
No. I agree. No, it was loose. It was that's what I'm saying. It was loose. But the difference in him is that, unlike Nolan going to pitch this idea to Warner Brothers to revamp the franchise that, quite frankly, was dead thanks to Joel Schumacher, or really thanks to Tim Burton with Batman Returns, but we'll get into that another time. That's a weedy comment. But anyway, but his pitch was more, I'm going into this established universe, and then I'm going to let the universe and stories that surround that reality be the catalyst for what I'm going to do, and then look what happens. So now his platform is Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, and Suicide Squad. And I think that's what has been a game changer for him. Is saying, well, this is now my frame of reference. This is my platform. Two things. One, these aren't working. They didn't work like they were supposed to. Two, now I'm beholden to this, and I don't know what to do with it. And so that's my guess, is that he was dealt a bad hand. And also, I think a big part of this too is that he wasn't supposed to be the savior of all this. He wasn't supposed to have that additional pressure on his shoulders. Look, it's pressure enough to make a film of this magnitude, and with a budget like this, and with such a beloved character, that's a lot of pressure. But to now add to that pressure that already exists, hey, by the way, this film has to save all this shit at this point. So get it right, son.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he's like, well, I didn't sign up for that. That wasn't the purpose. And then, of course, once that happens, how many hands are in that cookie jar? How many people are, well, we got to do this with the script. We got to do this with the character. How about we do this? Or how about we introduce that? Hey, we need to have more jokes. Make Batman more jokey and whatever. And I really do believe that that he probably doesn't have a lot of faith in Justice League, because if he did, if Justice League is the film that it needs to be, which is the film that helps erase all the bad juju surrounding this DCEU, then I think that Affleck would know that and say, now I can build off that. But I think he knows. I mean, dude, it is February 18th. As of this recording, Justice League comes out in November. We've had 0 trailers, and that sizzle reel from Comic-Con doesn't count. We've had 0 trailers. Why? Why have we not had a trailer yet?
No idea.
I don't think they even know how to market this thing. I really don't. I think this whole thing, I think that we are watching Justice League crumble before our eyes before it even gets released. That's what I think. And it really makes me nervous, because it's a damn shame that we're going to essentially lose so many people that had so much potential to do great things. Henry Cavill should have had an epic, amazing Superman film, and I don't think he's ever going to have it. And that's unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, Wonder Woman is in 2 months, 3 months. What is she going to be doing on her press junket? Is she going to be spending all her time answering questions about all this nonsense? Yeah, probably. Unless this thing gets... They've got to do something behind the scenes to get control of this narrative, by the way, because it will sink these next 2 films. And you and I talked about this, I believe it was yesterday on the phone. I said, what is this whole thing with Affleck sustainable even before Justice League is released? What I mean by that is this all going to come to a head? Is that movie going to roll out in November and we're already going to know that Affleck is not even ever coming back? And that's probably the last time we'll see that incarnation. I just don't know. All I know is that I don't want to be a Warner Brother exec right now. It's a mess.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm at a loss for words. And look, back to the Reeves thing. So I guess we both agree that it's probably not it's not a money ploy. This is not a power play for money.
Like you said, Bill, look, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to get a lot of money in residuals. I don't think it's that. I don't see them shooting the director of Batman short on what he should make for a film like that.
So it's something creatively. It's got to be wanting to start start over from scratch, have a clean slate, make a sequel if that's what he wants, do a prequel, reboot the son of a bitch. I don't know. Let me throw this at you. And I don't know if you voted. I had I'm writing like a 3-part deal of what's best for Batman in the future, and I kind of threw out a poll on Batman on Film, and here were the choices. And I think there's some more. You could probably throw some other things in, but I think this is the bottom line here. It's one choice is make the Batman as planned with Ben Affleck as the star. Hire a director, boom, make it as planned. Choice 2, give the new director a clean slate and let him make Batman films without the weight and baggage of the DCEU or continuity. Option 3, recast and make the Batman as planned with a new lead actor. So you just, it's the same Batman, same age. You're just putting in a different actor in place of Ben Affleck. Or recast and make DCEU prequels featuring a younger in his prime Batman. So you're, kind of sort of getting the best of both worlds. What would be your preference? What do you think is the best for Batman on Film going forward? What do you think is the best for this next solo Batman film project? And if you were an exec, if you had the power to do what you thought was best, what would it be?
Well, I would want to have seen Justice League before I make that call. My guess is I don't have a lot of confidence in that film, so my guess is it's not going to be very good. But I would still prefer to see that. Now, let's just speculate that it's just okay or sucks. It's not great. First of all, I would love Affleck to stick around and work as a producer and help still guide the script and work with a strong director like Matt Reeves and make a solo Bat film. However, if this thing's now so toxic and someone like him doesn't have his heart in it or whatever, then what I think they should do is what they probably should do is do what you and I have referred to as a soft reboot. Mm-hmm. And you talked about this in a private conversation with me yesterday as well, is reboot this franchise in a way where you don't necessarily have to mess with the continuity. You hire a younger actor. He plays Batman, Bruce Wayne as a young man. It's still in the confines of this DCEU. Mm-hmm. You just never overlap them because he's younger. It's also a way that Ben Affleck spends getting out of it. And like you said, maybe he sits on as a producer or even just has something to do with the writing or whatever. And so there's still that sort of PR type shit.
Yeah, you could say. And
you could even have Leto's Joker in there wreaking havoc and everything. So it's still, you still get all that. And then what they do with that is they say, okay, cool. Now let's make a Henry Cavill Superman film and don't bring anybody else in it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Stand alone. Let Gal Goddess do her thing as well. We'll do another Wonder Woman film, assuming this one's good. And then if this Aquaman thing works, and then just let these characters be on their own and just ditch the whole Justice League shared universe BS. It's there, it's established, but you can sort of slowly push it out, and it's just sort of understood, but it doesn't have to be in the forefront.
If it were up to me, I would do the same thing. I would do DCEU prequels for Batman. I mean, he's been Batman for 20 years. There's a lot of stories to tell. That doesn't mean, and I know a lot of the response when I say that is like, we've already seen the origin story. We don't, why do we have to rehash the Wayne murders? I'm not talking, you don't have to do any of that. He's in his prime.
Snyder's already done it anyway. Yes. It was already BBS.
Yeah. He's 30-ish. He's in his prime. He's young. He's the same Batman, quote unquote, as Ben Affleck's Batman we saw, 45, middle age, womanizing, drinker, killer dude, pill popper Batman guy. Okay. Same guy, just younger. This one is, he's more of a hero. He's more optimistic. Throw in, bring in Robin. You want to tell that story? How about the story of how he got to that point to where he's a womanizing, pill popping, boozing, killing Batman machine? I mean, what got him to that point?
Right.
So,
and then if that works, Bill, right? And they do a couple of films like that. Then who knows? Maybe Affleck does come back and writes and directs and stars in a Batman film that's set.
And you do that, and you
then he's right, and he's older, and it's post all that stuff. And then and then if in that film of Henry Cavill Superman has a quick cameo, whatever, fine. But they can still do it, but what they can't do is they forced and shoehorned this universe. Look, here's what Warner Brothers did. I don't know if I've ever framed it this way on the show, so if I have and you've heard this, please forgive me. But I was thinking about this the other day, is that we talked about this before, how Marvel let all this stuff happen organically, and that you're invested in these characters. By the time you saw them all together, you wanted a high five. What Warner Brothers did is not just rush and shoehorn. They also they took the audience for granted. In other words, to them, all you had to do, it was very lazy, okay? All you had to do was just put Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman on film together, and everything would fall into place. Mm-hmm. And what they didn't take in consideration is that the audience needs to fall in love and get emotionally invested, not just in the characters and the costumes, but the actors that are portraying them, those particular, very specific incarnations of those characters. Mm-hmm. You can't just throw them in their suits, put them on screen and say, there they are. There they are. See, this is great. Everything's fine. No, it doesn't work that way, and I think they've learned that lesson.
So it was a bit of arrogance involved in this?
Well, I rushed. Arrogance, maybe it's naivete. Okay, yeah. Maybe I would say that over arrogance, but they certainly took the audience for granted, whether they meant to or not. That's what ultimately happened. So now you know what? They kind of screwed it up. The whole thing of them on screen together, it doesn't look like that's going to work. And so to what we're talking about right now, save the Batman franchise. You can still keep it in the confines of this thing where you don't have to reboot completely. Tell the prequel backstory of this Batman. They're given a gift. This was an established Batman. Find an actor that looks somewhat like Ben Affleck as younger. Find a no-name.
When someone brought that up, said, how would you explain a younger actor looking, not looking like Ben Affleck? And I said, well, Val Kilmer didn't look like Michael Keaton, and he played the same Batman. And George Clooney didn't look like Val Kilmer, who didn't look like Michael Keaton, and they played the same Batman in that continuity. Whether even with even if you want to call Batman Forever kind of a soft reboot, but it was clearly in the continuity of that started with Batman '89. So
absolutely, it was. I mean, and you replaced Billy D. Williams with Tommy Lee Jones, or vice versa. But you know what? You still had Gordon. Yep. You still had the same Alfred. Yeah. You still, you had a lot of the same characters, and so that tied in the universe together. And you don't even have to go that far. Yeah. Batman.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can't go and say we're going to cast a guy who looks just like Ben Affleck who's 28. That's ridiculous. You just cast an actor. I mean, it's a movie. That's something you just accept. You accept the fact that hell, Daniel Craig looks nothing like Sean Connery. But he's still James Bond. And I know it's a different quote unquote continuity when it comes to Bond, but you get my point. That the look of the actor, I don't think has anything to do with I don't think it's an issue whatsoever.
Right. No, I think this is the way they should go. I hope they're listening. Keep it in the universe. And the reason you want to do that is because they've got all this established. Mm-hmm. And let's say, for instance, Wonder Woman works. Let's say it's the only damn thing that does. It's a hit. Wouldn't surprise me, by the way. All right. If it is. And so then what do you do with her? Then she's the only thing that's in that universe while everything else gets you can still save it. You just have to go that route and then just slowly transition into solo films with everyone.
Yes.
Right?
And then you get back to hiring filmmakers.
Right.
Like James Wan doing Aquaman.
Right.
Who has a vision and passion, and let them do the damn movie they want to make.
Absolutely.
And don't worry about flipping, tying in, this film to that film. We got to reference this, and we got to have some kind of nod to this movie and that character. And, by God, we're going to have Ben Affleck cameo in every flipping DCEU film. Stop with that nonsense. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it.
Right. It doesn't look. It's Ben Affleck's Batman popping up in these films. I'm sorry, it's not the same thing as Tony Stark popping up in Spider-Man. It's not. It's just not established. They screwed it up. That's fine. They can still save it and the reason I want them to save it, Bill, is because, again, the cast has never been the problem, and I don't want to see these guys get pushed aside, and all of a sudden Henry Cavill's not Superman anymore. Yeah. Jeremy Lyons is an Alfred.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Justice League, and let's hope this is the case. I don't care how great Justice League is. I don't care how shitty it is, possibly. Either way, we don't know. It needs to end with a nice, tight, and tidy bow on top of it. No story threads remain unresolved. No setup of a Justice League 2. None of that shit. It needs to end. And that way you've got Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League as its own little trilogy, because it's got to end. And if you want to do this soft reboot and not have to worry about trying to intermingle all these films and do this and that, Justice League has to end and be a self-contained movie without anything lingering in the future. You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, it's got to be like Watchmen. It does. I don't think it's going to happen.
And well, let's talk about that real quick.
I don't have faith in the studio right now.
I know, dude, but listen. Come on, think about it. They announced Justice League as a 2-part film, right? Originally.
Mm-hmm.
And then after BVS came out, and there was such the pushback, the negative reaction, the bad reviews, the mixed reviews amongst fandom, and audience is not really turned on to it. They quote unquote course corrected. They did rewrites galore, and they turned Justice League Part 1 into Justice League, period, and said, "Oh, we never really planned on Part 2." That kind of tells me that they made it as self-contained as possible. I think it would be a huge mistake if this film ends with a big cliffhanger. If it ends like BBS. If Justice League is nothing but another 2.5 hour commercial for the DCU and DCU films, that's to me that's just irresponsible, and it would be a huge mistake. It's
going to make everything worse.
And make everything worse.
Because then you can't course correct it. Because all these characters, we talk about Batman being prequel, but you can't just do that with all of them.
No.
The point is you want to save the cast.
Yes.
Affleck's out.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to recast Affleck, at least recast him as the same Batman.
Well, that's
the loophole, right?
That's the thing they did. They did do, I don't say they did it right, but they got lucky, I guess, by saying Batman is 45 years old. Because now you can do prequels with him. You can do prequels when there is no DCU. There was no superhuman.
There's no. Hey, look, the events between Zod and Superman and Metropolis was that was the starting point.
Yes,
exactly. and Affleck was in the streets as a 45-year-old man, and Robin was dead. Right. So they have so much room but that's the way they got to go. That's the way they got to go. And because if they just reboot altogether Batman, then it sends a chain reaction to the rest of these films, and because it's let's face it, anyway, it starts with him. Mm-hmm. He's their meal ticket. What's really going to be convoluted is if Wonder Woman does $1 billion and everyone loves it, and then they made the decision just to reboot Batman altogether. That's pardon my F-bomb here, but that's a clusterfuck in the making.
Yeah, it's just I think it makes so much sense to do the Batman prequels and then just continue on with solo films for these other characters.
All right, well, let's see how that unfolds. We have there's never a dull moment. Let's say that now. If you don't mind, for sake of time here, Bill, let's talk one more thing. Okay. Mel Gibson, Suicide Squad. What do you think?
Well, I think as a filmmaker, it would be a great get.
He's amazing. There's no question about that.
He is a great filmmaker. Period. Right. Period.
He's batshit crazy.
But he's irrefutable that he's not a great filmmaker.
Right. I mean, Braveheart is epic. I have not seen his new war film, but I hear it is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge.
Thank you.
I'm tapping, I'm thinking, how to say this.
You think it's going to happen?
I don't know. I haven't heard honestly, I haven't heard anything. The fact that Gibson is acknowledged that, yes, we are talking says a lot. I mean, this is a guy that said Batman v Superman was a piece of shit.
Yes, he did.
Not long ago, and that
right.
These sort of films were horse shit filmmaking. I don't know if he was including the Nolan films in there, but I think he was talking more about the Marvel type, and nothing against Marvel, but you know what I'm talking about,
right?
In the popcorn stuff. It tells me that maybe Warner Brothers is getting serious about hiring filmmakers and letting them do their own thing with these properties, because there's no way that Mel Gibson's going to come in, take that film, and make the Suicide Squad 2 that Warner Brothers wants him to conform to the continuity of the DCEU. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he's doing research. He's gonna have a take on what he wants to do, and he's gonna do it. So I think that I would you know what?
I mean, I would love to see it.
I'm all for redemption and second chances. I mean, he was kind of blacklisted for a decade.
And rightfully so. I mean, go off on anti-Semitic rants. I don't know what, but
and all that stuff with his ex-wife, the phone, all those phone calls that were leaked were just flipping crazy. But
sometimes when you're under the influence of narcotics or whatever, you don't really mean what you say either. So no, I believe in redemptions and second choices as well. Very much.
And he was once
within reason. I mean, he didn't do anything
and he was once a beloved movie star,
Sure.
Lethal Weapon and all that stuff, back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey, look, sign me. I'm on board. Sign me up for that if that happens. And I think more importantly, it goes back to what I said. I think the fact that they're courting him and he's talking to them, but more so them wanting him, tells me that, you know what, maybe they are getting their stuff together when it comes to these DC films at Warner Brothers, and they're going to go back to the approach of letting filmmakers come in with a vision and passion and make those films, and not worry about tying all this up with continuity.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
All right, good short discussion this morning on this topic.
Well, here's the deal. Let's let everybody know this too, because we don't have our whole crew here, and we don't have any guests either. It's just you and I. So let's say this. As far as plugging stuff, look, what I would just say, guys, if you haven't listened to our interview with Chris McKay that we did a couple of weeks ago, please go find it on Batman on Film. It's a great interview. He was a lot of fun. And we're going to give our spoiler reviews. Not that there's much to spoil anyway, because it's just pure fun. But we're going to talk about Lego Batman tomorrow with the whole panel. So, but I would just say for a plug, everybody go back if you haven't listened yet and listen to our interview with Chris McKay. It's solid.
Oh, and watch me and Rick's video review of the Lego Batman movie that we shot directly after we saw the movie. That was pretty good. It was fun.
But we had, to be fair too, we were in the bar, and I at least had a shot in the bar before so there was at least a little bit more alcohol that was consumed. It wasn't like just right after the movie.
No, it was. It's not like we walked out of the theater and shot.
Yeah, that's actually out in the parking lot of Moe's.
Yeah, it was up
the street from the theater.
Yeah, it was about.
So
it was within a half hour. So
yeah, and that was enough time to get a little bit more liquored up, and we were tipsy, and no, nobody was driving. You know?
No, we had no.
Just FYI on that.
Yes. Yes.
I could walk to the hotel I was staying in from that bar.
Yeah, it was. That was a good time. That watch party, wasn't it?
It was, and we're looking forward to the Wonder Woman watch party in Dallas.
Oh yeah, we're having that
in Plano, Texas.
Plano, Texas. The next one. I mean, guys, if you're in the area, come on out. We're gonna be. One more time, Rick. Where's it at?
It's the Cinemark Theater in West Plano off the Tollway and Parker. So I don't know the physical address. I'm assuming it's Dallas North Tollway or Dallas South Tollway, probably, or Dallas. Yeah, I guess it would be Dallas North Tollway would be the address, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yep. I mean, once the tickets go on sale for that particular screening, we'll announce it so everybody can grab their tickets. And then by chance, if you get tickets for another showing or miss that, doesn't mean you can't come up there and meet us at the theater bar at 4:00 and hang out for a couple hours with us and just talk Batman. So
I think I'm going to wear my new Batman on Film shirt to that, and not. I don't know if I could pull off sporting a Wonder Woman T-shirt. Well,
here's the deal. I'm gonna wear a Batman on Film shirt, but I'm gonna order a couple more, and so I don't know. I'm gonna be wearing BOF swag regardless. All right, guys. All right. Well, I guess we'll end it here, Bill, and we'll talk tomorrow about Lego Batman.
Yep. And we'll let announcer Rachel take us out, and we'll catch you next time, which will be tomorrow. Peace out.
Peace out.
Hey now. You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Jett.BatmanOnFilm. Email Jett via Jett@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.